You're listening to the Options Insider Radio Network, the home of the Options Podcast. For more quality options programs, visit theoptionsinsider.com or search for Options Insider Radio Network in your podcast provider of choice. Listeners can also access all of our programming through our mobile app available in the iTunes and Google Play stores. Select programs are also available via live stream at mixlr.com/options-insider. That's mixlr.com/options-insider. Don't forget to follow along with your favorite programs and submit your own questions for the hosts at twitter.com/options, stocktwits.com/options, facebook.com/theoptionsinsider, or via questions at theoptionsinsider.com. The options market can be a confusing place. Sorting through the daily avalanche of data, alerts, updates, articles, and analysis to find the most important information is an overwhelming prospect. But now you have help. Welcome to the Options News Rundown, the only program that breaks through the noise to bring you the most important news and information from the world of options. Every day, we bring you the top 5 option stories curated by the options experts at theoptionsinsider.com, the premier source for options information. The Options News Rundown is brought to you by Market Taker Mentoring, the leader in options trading education. Get trader education, daily trade ideas, and more with a free 1-week trial of Market Taker Mentoring's Live Advantage Group coaching class by visiting markettaker.com/insider. And now it's time to break through the noise. It's time for your Options News Rundown.
Good morning. Today is Friday, January 11th, 2019. This is your Options News Rundown. I'm Dan Passarelli. Today's first story is from investing.com. It's the top 5 things to know in the market on Friday. U.S. inflation will be the center of attention. Retail inflation numbers will be the focus of Friday's economic calendar as the Labor Department releases the December Consumer Price Index report at 8:30 a.m. Eastern. On average, economists expect that the CPI fell 0.1% last month. But the core CPI, which excludes volatile food and energy prices, is forecast to have risen 0.2% in December. On an annual basis, the core CPI is expected to post a rise of 2.2%. That's slightly above the Federal Reserve's 2% target. We'll take a look at those numbers later, I think. Fed speakers, especially Chief Jeremy Powell, have held more sway on the markets than economic indicators of late, but it's important to note that the Fed's patience will also make policymakers more data dependent. U.S. dollar drops is the second thing to know today is the U.S. dollar drops as Powell repeats promise for patience. The U.S. dollar pressed lower against major rivals on Friday as Powell reiterated a day earlier that the Fed would be patient and flexible on monetary policy. Powell's cautious tone served as another sign that the Fed is in no hurry to hike rates, following a string of policy makers who indicated they will wait to tighten policy further until they have a better handle on whether slowing growth and financial market volatility will negatively impact the U.S. economy. Especially with inflation low and under control, we have the ability to be patient and watch patiently and carefully as we figure out which of these two narratives is going to be the story of 2019, Powell said on Thursday. Third thing to note today is U.S. stocks may snap the 5-day winning streak amid recession worries. U.S. futures pointed to a flat open on Friday, but slight losses in the S&P threatened to put an end to the S&P 500's 5-day rally, its longest since September, as odds of recession in the U.S. hit a 6-year high. The fourth thing to note today is federal workers are to miss their first paycheck amid emergency shutdown. The partial government shutdown entered its 21st day on Friday, in what will be the first day that the political impasse officially hits the pocketbooks of federal workers. Paychecks scheduled for release Friday under normal circumstances are on hold for some 800,000 federal employees that were forced to go on unpaid leave or work without pay since December 22nd because of the government shutdown. Most of these workers were paid on December 28th in the final 2-week pay period of 2018. Powell downplayed the short-term impact of the ongoing U.S. government shutdown in his remarks on Thursday, but said an extended shutdown would lead to a less clear picture of the economy on which to base monetary policy decisions. U.S. President Donald Trump is locked in a spat with Democrats, of course, over his insistence that a reopening of the government includes billions of dollars to pay for a wall on the U.S.-Mexico border. Fifth thing to note today is Brent oil heads for a record winning streak. Oil rose for a 10th consecutive day in London, heading for its longest run of gains on record, while West Texas Intermediate crude oil was on track to chuck up its biggest weekly gain, 9.5%, in nearly 2 years, as Saudi Arabia pledged that OPEC and its allies will keep the market in balance with promised production cuts. U.S. crude oil futures gained 46 cents or 0.87% to $53.05 at 6:05 a.m. Eastern Time, while Brent oil traded up 0.63% to $62.07. Prices are still about 30% lower than their highs in October, after a rebound since Christmas Eve thrust crude back into a bull market. Our second story today is from investing.com as well. Volkswagen delivered 10.8 million vehicles in 2018 and eyes the world's #1 spot. Volkswagen Group's deliveries rose 0.9% to a record 10.83 million last year, the German company said on Friday, putting it neck and neck with Renault, Nissan, Mitsubishi in the race to be the world's biggest vehicle manufacturer. Rivals Toyota Motor and Renault, Nissan, Mitsubishi have not released 2018 registration figures, but the Franco-Japanese alliance sold 10.6 million vehicles in 2017 and racked up sales of 5.54 million in the first half of 2018. Toyota last month released a forecast for total global sales of 10.55 million vehicles last year, but has yet to confirm official numbers. If we assume that the 10.8 million sales VW have reported is confirmed, it is very likely to be enough to place Volkswagen Group in the #1 spot, said David Oakley, an analyst at LMC Automotive. That would be the 5th consecutive year Volkswagen Group has held the position, Oakley said, adding it was too early to say whether Toyota or Renault, Nissan, Mitsubishi would be in second place. Also because registration figures have not yet been published for all markets. Volkswagen Group's figures include sales of light vehicles and trucks. Measured by passenger cars alone, registrations last year would have accounted for 10.1 million, it said. And here are those numbers we were talking about from MarketWatch.com. Consumer inflation falls for the first time in 9 months due to lower gas prices, CPI shows. Falling gasoline prices curbed inflation at the end of 2018, giving Americans a bigger financial cushion and granting the Federal Reserve more leeway in raising U.S. interest rates. The Consumer Price Index slipped 0.1% in December to mark the first decline in 9 months, the government said Friday. That matched the forecast of economists polled by MarketWatch. The increase in the cost of living over the past 12 months slowed to 1.9% from 2.2%, the first time it's fallen below the key 2% mark since August of 2017. The yearly rate had risen to as high as 2.9% just 6 months ago. The drop in oil prices has masked inflationary pressures for other typical household expenses, such as rent and car insurance. Another closely watched measure of inflation that strips out food and energy, known as the core rate, rose 0.2% last month. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is news you can use for today, Friday, January 11th, 2019. This is your Options News Rundown. I'm Dan Passarelli. Trade smart and have a nice weekend.
You're listening to the Options Insider Radio Network, the home of the Options Podcast. For more quality options programs, visit theoptionsinsider.com or search for Options Insider Radio Network in your podcast provider of choice. Listeners can also access all of our programming through our mobile app available in the iTunes and Google Play stores. Select programs are also available via live stream at mixlr.com/options-insider. That's mixlr.com/options-insider. Don't forget to follow along with your favorite programs and submit your own questions for the hosts at twitter.com/options, stocktwits.com/options, facebook.com/theoptionsinsider, or via questions@theoptionsinsider.com.